Shall I try this again? Is this going to work for us? Hello? Would anybody like to donate a new mic for Oakwood? All right. The next work by Georges Bizet is another very recognizable work with a classical idiom. To make a short story even shorter, it basically revolves around three people. Carmen, who is, for terms of being PC, a seductress, and two men who are fighting and vying for her love, one being Jose, who's obsessed with her. However, her head is turned in the other direction to this flashy bullfighter by the name of Escamillo. So things basically don't work out for Carmen so well. I think she's flaunted her last flute, shall we say, and Jose kind of kills her at the end of the story. I know there's a lot of death around this winter program. But this opera was an astounding flop when it first premiered, and now it's become one of the most famous operas in the world. Hello. So Carmen, like as I mentioned just a second ago, was an astounding flop. It was an absolute abject failure, but was revived a short time afterwards and became one of the most beloved operas in the world. So we are happy to present 4 scenes from this opera. The beginning, which is sort of sets the dramatic flair for this particular drama of sorts. The second movement, which is a seductive dance by Carmen, the third movement, which is sort of a love ballad, and the last movement, which is sort of a pompous and upright sort of march that represents the toreador, or the bullfighter that she is very interested in. So we're happy to present 4 scenes from Georges Bizet's Carmen. Russian folklore is very strange. I mean, I don't think there's a person in here that doesn't know about the Nutcracker. But you think about the Firebird, Petrushka. I mean, just very odd tales. Nutcracker is the story of a young girl who goes to sleep and dreams that a rat with 7 heads and an army of mice fights a bunch of toy soldiers. And that's how the Nutcracker was born. Basically, the Nutcracker is one of those unique pieces. I've spent the last 15 or so years conducting primarily professional ensembles around the U.S. But the Nutcracker is one of those pieces I used to do 14 or 15 times a year. And the Nutcracker, which is over 2 hours long, is filled with tune after tune after tune of memorable, incredibly memorable music. Every single scene is something that you could hum. And Tchaikovsky was an absolute master of the melody. And the things that you're about to hear tonight are things that you've heard a zillion times. It opens up with a brisk march of the Nutcracker figurines. And then I'll talk about what we do after that. So this is March of the Nutcracker from Tchaikovsky's iconic Nutcracker ballet. Now, we've spent, pretty much the entire trimester cleaning and refining these tunes. The next piece we learned today. We read it, maybe a month or so ago, and we were just so consumed with all of this really exciting and difficult music that we heard that we just didn't look into this, and the students wanted to do it today, so I'm going to oblige them. Now, this is Dance of the Sugar Plum Fairy. I get asked all the time, what is a sugar plum? And a sugar plum is this, I'm sorry if you're a fan of sugar plums, but I think it's just this really awful Eastern European dessert. I've had a few of them, it's just a sugar plum. It's this little sort of like candied plum with sugar on it, and it's absolutely gross. But anyways, This theme, Dance of the Sugar Plum Fairy, is this mischievous and delightful little sort of a frolic that's very recognizable. And I say it's mischievous because of the bass clarinet solo that appears. And then it also has this really magical, fairy, sort of flighty air, which is represented by a virtuosic little solo in the keyed glockenspiel played by one of our violin players, who you've noticed has moved back there to do that. And she, played it today, and I was like, can you do it 3 times faster than that? And she just cranked it right out. So, we've only rehearsed this twice, and that's today, but let's give this a shot. It gives the students an opportunity to see what it's like to be a professional musician. We often don't get rehearsals. So, this is Fight or Flight. This is Dance of the Sugar Plum Fairy by Tchaikovsky. May we do one last piece for you? I'm sorry, I just want to make sure. May we do one last piece for you? Good, because we're going to anyway. It's been a real treasure for me to have the opportunity to be a part of this fine arts department here at Oakwood. As music programs are on the decline nationwide, what a treat to see the opposite going on here at Oakwood. Let's give a hand to all of you who are supporting the arts here at Oakwood. Within the orchestra, so many things can be learned. It's not just about the music making. It's an opportunity for the students to lead and to be creative and to find solutions and things that and it's not to demean math or social studies or English and things along those lines, all those other unimportant activities that we involve ourselves with at school. But arts is about something way greater than each individual student. So it's about each student's ability to contribute to a whole. An orchestra is not an orchestra if it's just 42 soloists. It's all of these people working together in one community of musicians to produce something together. It's about something greater than each part. It's about the whole. And that's one of the wonderful things about music, is that we rely on the other person in order to accomplish what it is that we're doing. So let's give these students a hand for their hard work this trimester. And I also I must mention my partner in crime, who has been so welcoming and has really helped make the transition. I had some very big shoes to fill. Leslie was a dear friend of mine for 4 or 5 years, and somebody that I enjoyed working with immensely. But it's been an absolute joy to work with Ben McIntosh this entire semester, who really puts this together. This last piece, again, is very recognizable. In Russian form, it's called trepik. In American, we'll just call it a Russian dance. This is a virtuosic and fast jaunt for orchestra that gets faster and faster and faster. It's been a pleasure performing for you this evening. This is the finale to our concert, Trepak, or Russian dance, from the Nutcracker Ballet. Thank you. Good.